Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest. It is fight week, May 6th. It goes down. Golden Boy served us up a nice, hot and ready, I ain't talking Little Caesar, and that's a fight card. In the main event, Canelo, I was born ready, versus Fantastico César Chávez Jr. And no, for the people asking, I still have not finished. I did start, and it's bad because I must have ADD and just been busy because it's only 13 minutes long. I've started the face-off, but I have not watched the whole thing straight through, so I don't have a review for you, but I will try to get on that. However, I have been busy. I did do a video yesterday, and it was regarding Canelo rejecting the special commemorative Huichol WBC belt for a division that's not actually a division, 164.5. And the funny thing is, and I'm going to play some segments, so in the Roy Jones words, y'all must have forgot, so you know where you get the information from. And it's funny because a lot of what I said in that video, they did the grand arrivals, Canelo Chávez Jr., Canelo Alvarez, they were in Vegas today. And I'm going to play what I said, and then I'm going to let you know what Canelo said. And it's eerily similar what Canelo said versus what I said in the video yesterday before all these interviews. They put this belt you see on Suleiman, they put together this belt, and it's a commemorative belt because it's not an actual weight class that they're fighting at. It's not at 160, so no one's a champion at 164.5. But they wanted to do something to commemorate this big fight. It's a massive fight, one of the biggest for this particular year in boxing. So they came up with the idea of this belt. Now, rumor has it that, I don't know who this, I'll tell you what I've heard. I heard Canelo refuse the belt. He doesn't want the belt, even if he wins, even if he beats Chávez Jr. He doesn't want to accept the belt, right? There's some tension there because last year Canelo was made to be kind of a spectacle and embarrassed when in September he was supposed to have a voluntary fight, which he did against Amir Khan. Golovkin, and no guys, was supposed to have his voluntary title defense, and that was against Dominic Wade, which he was successful. And they were supposed to fight each other September of last year. That was kind of the agreement between K2 Promotions, Golden Boy, and the WBC. And after those fights, after Canelo knocked out Amir Khan, Golovkin even came in the ring. HBO put some pressure to him. Max Kellerman said, "What's up with the Golovkin fight?" And he says, "Cut the BS. We Mexican, we don't mess around, whatever." And he had 15 days to negotiate with his mandatory at the time, Gennady Golovkin. As a result, he was going through a lawsuit with his former promoter, All Star Boxing, and he opted to just relinquish the belt and not deal with it and deal with the quote-unquote artificial deadlines. So he got rid of the WBC belt and in essence handed it to Gennady Golovkin. These are facts. You guys can research it. And some people suggest that might be the cause because the WBC kind of put the gun to his head and he was under fire and under scrutiny for that move. A lot of people looked at that as kind of cowardly, yellow belly. Like, why? Even Chávez Jr. in the face-off, I haven't watched it. So a lot of people are asking me, did you see the face-off? I've seen cliff notes and like sound bites, but I haven't watched the whole thing. I'll try to this week. It's a lot going on. Stay tuned to the channel. Stay glued. I'm working hard. It's really easy work, but I'm still working. It is a fight week for a big fight, and I'll try to watch that face-off. But Chávez Jr., even in the face-off, he kind of like mocks Canelo for not fighting Golovkin and saying that was like a puss move, basically. And some people think that's why Canelo doesn't want to accept the WBC belt. But I mean, at the other token, the other side of it, I can understand that too. This is not a weight class. This is not an actual weight class. So why is there even a belt available for it? Like, who even came up with the idea to make this for a belt when, like, how can you defend a Mexican heritage Huichol belt at 164.5 when Canelo's next fight, he said he's going to middleweight 160? Or if Chávez Jr. beats Canelo, then he's going to probably go back up to 68 or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like, why was there even a belt? But boxing, at the end of the day, everybody wants their hands on the biggest fights, and everybody wants to be a part of that. So that's kind of what it boils down to. Money, money, money. You know what I mean? The WBC, they're like, nah, this is a big fight for boxing. We have a huge Mexican demographic that respect and follow the WBC and are part of the team. So we want in, we want a part of this. So, I mean, I understand it, it's business. But at the end, at the second token, I could see, because it's not even an actual weight class. So like, why is there a belt for it? But now, that's what I said in that video yesterday. So new media. Let me tell you what Canelo said. Link in the description. He did an interview, 2 interviews that I really pulled from Fight Hub TV. Shout out to them. They have the interview, link in the description. And there's another one, and I forgot who conducted it, but the link is in the description so you could hear it from the horse's mouth. Now, Canelo Alvarez, the reason why he says he's rejecting this WBC belt is because, one, it sounds like he has an issue, a beef with the WBC, which is exactly what I said yesterday. The situation, he feels like he was painted out to be this coward, this yellow belly, and afraid of Gennady Golovkin. They were trying to put pressure on him publicly with the 15-day. This, I'm just paraphrasing, and this is whether you agree with it or not. This is what Canelo says. He basically was made to be scared of Golovkin, and the whole thing, you know what I mean? Obviously, people putting Triple G and you're ducking, and it wasn't a good look. And he blames the WBC in part for how they handled it, and he doesn't like the way him or his team were treated in that situation. He knew Golovkin was his mandatory, but like I told you guys, he was dealing with that issue with former promoter, All-Star Boxing, and he said basically the WBC made him out to be like a coward, and he just notified them that like he's afraid to fight Golovkin. And he says in this, I'm not afraid of anybody, I'm not afraid of no man. We could fight Golovkin, but if and when me and Golovkin fight, it's not going to be for the WBC title. So it sounds like he's genuinely offended with the WBC, which was, even though I said it in the video, it's shocking to hear him actually say it, because I know that the WBC, like I said, they do a lot in the Mexican community, and I thought they had a strong relationship with Oscar de la Hoya and Golden Boy. So to hear Canelo speaking out like, I don't want no parts of their title, even when I fight Golovkin, who has the WBC title, right? He now has it because of the Canelo situation. So Canelo, he seems pretty bothered, and he's standing his ground regarding this situation. Like, basically, and you know what's crazy? I was thinking about this. He can get away with it. He can do it. Canelo is the biggest star in boxing. He's at a point, like I tell you guys this all the time. Guys like Floyd Mayweather, guys like Manny Pacquiao, and now Canelo, when you reach a certain level of success in boxing, a belt doesn't define you. Floyd Mayweather got titles and then just got rid of them. Like, said, hey, I beat Pacquiao, I'm gonna get rid of all these titles. I don't have to pay the sanctioning fees. Like, you could do that because a belt doesn't make you. Now, if you're Jared Swift Hurd, a guy who doesn't have the biggest name, you know what I mean, because he's just starting, he's on his journey, and he fought against Tony Harrison, good fight, a fight that tested him. He became an IBF champion. You're not going to see that. You're not going to see, because him being associated with that belt, it actually raises his profile. So he is a fighter, I'm not picking names, you know what I mean, I'm picking on anybody. I'm just using the example, like a guy like Jared Swift Hurd at 154, he needs the IBF title because that's one of the things that could separate him. And he's not a budding enough star where the title doesn't define him. But again, once you get so popular, you could put asses in the seats with or without titles, then it's different. And Canelo, to me, has achieved that. He fought Floyd, he fought Cotto, so he beat Cotto. I don't even understand the people who were trying to say like that was super competitive. I really seen Cotto. I picked Canelo to win. I did a 7 reasons Canelo beats Miguel Cotto, but I still watch it. No matter who I pick, I still watch the fights objectively, and I really didn't even see Cotto doing too much in that fight. He was doing stuff to like maybe to make it look like he was trying real hard, but he wasn't really doing anything. So with the successes that Canelo's had, I really feel he is in the position where A belt doesn't define him. He doesn't need that. I mean, in fact, after the whole Triple G situation, which to me, I think it was an extremely bad look for his career, and that's why now he's mad kind of with the backlash. It didn't look good, especially from, you know what I mean, like a prideful Mexican crowd. I'm not saying he only has Mexican fans, but certain cultures don't take lightly to certain acts and behaviors, you know what I mean? And I really seen after that moment, even some of Canelo's fans, even like white, black, Mexican, or whatever, I seen even diehard Canelo fans almost turn their back on Canelo. Like, nah, I can't support that type of move. So it was definitely a move in need of damage control, but yet and still, Golden Boy still put him in there with Liam Smith, who really didn't have a big name in the United States, and he had 50,000 plus people in Texas. Obviously, that might have been one of the only areas where you could draw that type of crowd for that type of fight, but they still did it. So that's the crazy thing. Canelo is actually a don, you know what I'm saying? He's in a position where he doesn't have to fight for the WBC belt, you know what I mean? If Canelo fights Triple G in September, let's say he gets past Chavez Jr., and I'm just thinking ahead. Let's say he gets past it, and he goes to fight Triple G. Do you think people are going to be like, oh, what do you mean the WBC belt is not at stake? When all the other belts are at stake, the WBA, the IBF, IBO, and all this stuff, right? You think people are going to be like, oh, I don't want to watch this because the WBC belt's not involved. So, I mean, Canelo has the right. If he feels he was mistreated, then, I mean, it is what it is. Maybe a public apology. I don't know what the situation is. You guys got to watch the interviews, but maybe the situation could be mended. Or maybe he's just stubborn and he's just like, no, I'm an A-side. I don't really need that. And you have to give it to him. He doesn't really need the belt. Like I said, especially if he beats Chavez Jr., that's a telling fight. If he stops Chavez Jr., or if he looks fantastic in that fight, I mean, that helps his star power. His star power grows. So that's basically what Canelo said. He says even if he fights Triple G, he's down to fight Triple G. But based on how the WBC treated him, it's not going down. He's not fighting for their belts. He's not, like, basically that he wants no part of the WBC organization. Now, and this is the other thing that you'll see in the other interview. They were asking him, like, hey, why are you refusing this commemorative Cinco de Mayo belt and things like that of the Huichol people? And Canelo was basically saying this had nothing to do with the Huichol people at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this was basically a convenient and a clever method of the WBC. Again, I'm paraphrasing. He's basically saying this was a convenient, clever way for the WBC to stick their hands in the cookie jar and be a part of this particular fight when they shouldn't have been, because this is not for a world title. This is 164.5. It's a catchweight that I agreed to. It's a catchweight Chavez Jr. agreed to, and it's not an actual weight class for a title. But he says the WBC, they basically have their own agenda, their own vested interest, their own promotional interest, their own special interest, and they wanted to be a part of the fight, and they don't really need to be. So he said when the whole idea was discussed initially, like before the 400, 800 hours of handcrafting of the belt, he says he turned it down and they made the belt anyway. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I was telling you guys. Like, and he said he knew this was gonna happen, where they were gonna try to flip it on him. You guys got to. Canelo's going deep. This was a good interview, but he was basically saying like the WBC just wanted to be a part of this. Like, they have their own motives, and they, you know what I mean, everyone wants a piece of the pie. Everyone wants to be, oh, Cinco de Mayo, how could we be involved? This is not a weight class. So they like kind of force themselves into the equation. That's kind of what he's alluding to. And he says he knew they were going to try to spin doctor and flip it to make it look like Canelo was being ungrateful or Canelo was being disrespectful to the Huichol people, and make it look like he wasn't, like, I guess, kind of celebrating Mexican heritage and the native Mexican people, the Huichol community and culture, and make him look like a villain, basically. And he said it has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with the Huichol people, or I don't respect them. He said there's a guy in my gym that's from that community, that tribe, and he's basically just saying, I have my own plans. He says, I think he said something like his outfit for Saturday has Huichol decorations, or they help craft his outfit for Saturday. He wants to pay them respect, but he wants to do it at his own pace, not with something that he doesn't agree with. That's what he's basically saying. So he had his own plans for how he can include the Huichol people and that culture into his fight. And he said they're gonna have, he has some people from that community, the Huichol community, in attendance, and they'll be going to the fight and maybe honoring him if he wins, that kind of thing. So good stuff from Canelo. I'm glad he spoke out to clear the air. A lot of it was what I told you guys about. I knew he was feeling the type of way with the WBC, and he just corroborated that. And I mean, he actually has a point. Like, you know what I mean? That's the same thing. All these big fights, even fights with Chris Brown and Soulja Boy. We gonna get freaky, right? This is exactly what Chris Brown said. The fight started, people started talking about it on the internet, going crazy, and then all of a sudden it turned into something else, and they're talking about having to fight in Dubai, and this person, that person wants to be a part. Everybody, Floyd Mayweather wants to train, Mike Tyson's training. I'm ecstatic. You know what I mean? And it just got crazy, and everybody was trying to profit from it. So, I mean, I understand where Canelo's coming from. He feels he was treated in such a way, or made to look like he was scared or a villain by the WBC, and now all of a sudden he's not messing with him. He's like, no, I don't need your belt. I'm gonna show you how strong and powerful I am as a person. So I mean, some people aren't gonna agree. They're like, oh, it's a cop out. I try to call it how I see. Canelo was going through a lawsuit. It is what it is. I mean, I know, I don't think that made him look good. I mean, just handing over his belt to Golovkin, lawsuit or not, because I mean, you knew all this stuff. You know if you get served with papers or whatever, you know if you get subpoenaed or whatever, that you have a lawsuit pending or you got a court date. So I mean, just kind of depends on how you view it. But I'm glad Canelo spoke up and addressed the public regarding this. So it is now official. When I made the video yesterday, it was more of a kind of a rumor, speculative thing about him not wanting the belt, but he's letting you know. And if you watch those interviews, you'll hear him say that. And like I said, it sounds like an issue of it being a big fight, and people are trying to capitalize. Everybody wants a slice of the pie. Everybody wants some of that action. You know what I mean? And that's the way it goes. You know what I mean? As my YouTube, I'm using examples that I know. I get emails daily, weekly, and it's from networks trying to have my channel join their channel, their multi-channel network, right? There's networks where they could pay you, and instead of YouTube paying you, and different stuff like that, because the channel is already successful. It's already a well-oiled machine at this point, right? It's already a brand. And when I first started, when I had 0 subscribers or 100 subscribers, I didn't get those offers. Nobody was offering me anything. But that's what happens as you get bigger, or in this case, as the fight gets bigger. Now everybody wants a part. And I mean, I feel Canelo, if what he's saying is true, and they presented the idea of the Huichol belt, and then he said no before the belt was even handcrafted and made, like, no, this is not needed. And they're like, nah, we're gonna do it anyway. And that's your bad at that point, to me. You know what I mean? If you're just gonna make this belt in 400, 800 man hours or whatever to create this Huichol belt, and then now Canelo feels like they're trying to still pin it on him, like as if he has something against Mexican culture or the Huichol people. You know what I mean? That's not right either. If he told you from the jump, like, hey, you don't have to worry about it. You know what I mean? That's like if somebody says, hey, you want something to eat from KFC? And I'm like, nah, I don't want no KFC. I'm good. I don't want nothing to eat. And then they go to KFC and then they order all this food, even though I told them I didn't want any. And they buy all this, spend $45 for food for me and them. And then they get back and they're like, you're not going to eat? And I'm like, no, I told you I didn't want none. You're not gonna pin that on me because I didn't want the KFC, and I told you I didn't want the KFC, and you spent your life savings on some Colonel's chicken. I don't want that chicken. You know what I mean? So I mean, I feel Canelo, if what he's saying is true, and they already had this conversation, and he's like, no, you don't have to do that. This is not a weight class. This fight is for pride. This fight is for something else, and we don't need that. It's not even at a weight class. And then they did it anyway. Then, I mean, Canelo does have a point. As far as the Golovkin fight, will it happen? I don't know. That remains to be seen, but we're going to find out. And first, he has to get past Chavez Jr. May 6th. Stay tuned to the channel. Got a lot coming. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe to the next video's Ego Son. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.